The bomb just dropped in Washington, and nobody can believe what's happening right now. A seismic move that could fundamentally change the franchise's future is about to go down. And if that wasn't enough, Hard Knocks cameras captured the exact moment the locker room discovered its true identity after weeks of brutal suffering. This is what nobody's telling you. The rumors aren't rumors anymore. According to Jeremy Fowler from ESPN, first, the college connection. Aiyuk and Jaden Daniels aren't just acquaintances. They're battle brothers. That synchronization isn't taught in practice. It's lived through fire. During their time together with the Sun Devils, they developed a telepathic connection that made them one of the most dangerous duos in college football. Daniels knew exactly where Aiyuk would be before the play even developed. Now imagine that duo reunited at the pro level, with Daniels throwing and Aiyuk running routes like they never separated. Second, the executive connection. General Manager Adam Peters isn't a stranger to Aiyuk. Peters comes straight from San Francisco. He knows Aiyuk's talent, understands his mentality, knows what buttons to push to get the absolute best out of him. His personal and professional motivations. Peters isn't betting blind. He's moving pieces with inside information no other general manager in the league possesses. Third, the desperate need. But after Terry, the receiver room is a giant question mark. Dimey Brown has shown flashes, but never exploded like the third-round pick everyone expected. Win one-on-one battles and become the safety valve when plays break down. They need someone who forces defenses to respect both sides of the field. Aiyuk is exactly that and more. Now here's the problem. Aiyuk signed a monster 4-year deal worth $120 million before the 2024 season. That's a serious financial commitment, including $66 million guaranteed. It's the type of contract that paralyzes your salary cap if the player doesn't produce. But tragedy struck early when Aiyuk tore his ACL and MCL in his right knee in Week 5 against the Cardinals, ending his year before it really started. That injury is devastating, not just physically but mentally. The ACL is every receiver's nightmare. It affects explosiveness, cutting ability, confidence in lateral movements. And here's what's strange. Is he really recovering, or is something deeper happening behind the scenes? There are rumors the relationship between Aiyuk and the organization deteriorated during summer contract negotiations. There was public tension, leaked statements, holdout threats. The situation resolved with the mega contract, but emotional wounds may not have healed. There's drama in San Francisco. That's no secret. The relationship between Aiyuk and the organization has been tense, similar to what happened with Deebo Samuel before coming to Washington. But here's Peters' master play. The Commanders could land an elite receiver without paying full market value. Normally, a receiver of Aiyuk's caliber will cost at least a first-round pick plus additional assets. Yes, he comes with injury history that could affect future production. Yes, he comes with drama that could infect the locker room. Yes, he comes with a contract consuming critical cap space. But the potential reward is astronomical. Imagine this offensive lineup in 2026. Jaden Daniels under center, entering his third year with veteran confidence. Terry McLaurin on one side, running his precise routes and winning physical battles. Brandon Aiyuk on the other side, using his speed and technique to separate from any cornerback. The Giants would just surrender before the ball was snapped. Peters knows opportunity windows close fast in this league. Daniels is on his rookie contract, meaning cheap money at the sport's most expensive position. For the next 3 years, that's the exact moment to build a dominant core and attack while finances allow it. Waiting is losing. Every year that passes without maximizing Daniels' window is a wasted year. Financial and cultural risk. Because if this move happens, it changes the entire team landscape for the next 5 years. And it gives Daniels the chance to become the elite quarterback we all believe he can be. What do you think about this? Would you bring Aiyuk knowing the injury risk and drama he brings? Drop your comment below. While trade rumors explode in the media, with a 3-9 record, playoffs are mathematically possible, but practically impossible. The probability of qualifying is less than 1% according to statistical models. So the question burns in everyone's mind. Do you play to win now with veterans or develop young players to build the future? Quinn was clear in his press conference after the Denver loss. He wants both. Look at Treylon Burks. The receiver arrived this year from the Titans after failing to meet expectations as a first-round pick. He's a rebuilding project. He has the physical size, speed, and athletic skills to be dominant, but he's never put it all together consistently. He needs reps to integrate into Quinn's system. He needs to touch the ball in real game situations, run routes under pressure, build chemistry with Daniels under defensive fire. Who takes responsibility? The coach trying to develop talent or the coach failing to win games? He's learning in real time against elite NFL offenses. But every mistake he makes in coverage is a whole opponent's exploit without mercy. Every missed assignment is a runner gaining 15 extra yards. Every poorly defended pass play is a touchdown-changing momentum. And when you lose by a touchdown in overtime, like against Denver, those development mistakes hurt twice as much because you know a veteran probably would have made the right play. Look at T.J. Magaronyanga, but also showed inexperience in hand technique and run play recognition. And in a game decided in overtime by a field goal, every play matters too much to be experimenting with unproven rookies. Here's the real dilemma Quinn faces every week. He has to squeeze every last drop of production from proven players who know the system and execute consistently. He has to ignore long-term development and focus only on the next 60 minutes. But that means he arrives at the offseason without really knowing what he has at the bottom of the roster. It means he enters the 2026 draft completely blind, without critical information about which positions need urgent reinforcement and which have internal talent ready to explode. It means he could waste draft picks on positions that already have internal solutions without knowing it. He has to accept painful losses that could be avoided with more conservative decisions. He has to look veterans fighting for future contracts in the eyes, players whose families depend on their on-field production. They start questioning if the team is really committed to winning. Division filters through the roster like poison. And here's the death trap making this decision impossible. The fan base is completely divided into two irreconcilable camps. Half wants aggressive tanking to secure a high draft pick, preferably top 5, to get an elite offensive tackle or dominant edge rusher. They want to lose every remaining game spectacularly to maximize draft odds. The other half wants to fight every game until the last second to maintain winning mentality and locker room respect. They want to see progress, development, and pride even in a lost season. You can't satisfy both groups simultaneously. Someone's going to end up furious and betrayed no matter what decision you make every Sunday. Trying to do both usually means you don't do either well. You end up winning enough games to ruin your draft position, but not enough to create real momentum. The middle hell where teams get stuck in mediocrity for decades. But there's a powerful philosophical argument for Quinn's approach. Creating winning habits and competitive culture matters more than any individual draft pick. If young players learn to mentally quit when things get tough, when playoffs are out of reach, that poison infects organizational culture forever. It becomes what attracts quality free agents. It becomes what makes draft players want to stay long-term. The uncomfortable truth is there's no universally right answer. And Quinn has to live with those consequences while the fan base, ruthless media, and front office judge him mercilessly at every press conference. Welcome to the toughest job in professional sports, where every decision is criticized and every outcome is insufficient. Hard Knocks cameras, which originally arrived to document a triumphant Super Bowl run, captured something completely different, but equally powerful after the overtime loss to Denver. They captured something the scoreboard numbers can't show, something advanced statistics can't measure, something stat sheets will never reveal. The transformation of a team that had completely lost its identity and finally rediscovered it in the darkest moment. Quinn walked into the locker room after one of the season's most painful and heartbreaking losses. The Commanders had fought like possessed warriors against one of the league's absolute best teams, a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They'd had victory in their hands multiple times during the 60 regulation minutes. They'd made critical defensive plays. They'd moved the ball effectively on offense. And they let it slip away at the cruelest possible moment, in overtime, with a field goal splitting the uprights as the clock hit zeros. That kind of loss, where you do everything right, but the outcome escapes you, can destroy a team's spirit for the rest of the season and beyond. But Quinn didn't arrive in the locker room with his head down like a defeated coach. He didn't arrive with cheap excuses about bad luck or questionable officiating. He didn't arrive with the body language of someone who's accepted mediocrity. He arrived with burning fire in his eyes and a statement defining everything this team is building from the ashes. 5 simple words changing the season's entire narrative and redefining what this transition year means. Because here's the brutal reality everyone's lived through. The Commanders have been demolished week after week during the season's first half. They've suffered devastating injuries to key players on both sides of the ball. They've watched their dream Super Bowl season, the season that was going to validate the entire rebuild, turn into a 3-9 nightmare nobody predicted. Training camp optimism evaporated. Playoff expectations disintegrated. Locker room confidence fractured. It would have been easy, even justifiable from a human perspective, to mentally quit. Go through the motions without real intensity. Cash the bi-weekly checks. Avoid unnecessary injuries. But the Denver game showed something completely different. It showed a team refusing to die regardless of the score. A team fighting every play, every down, every possession like it's the World Championship final. A team that's rediscovered its collective pride after weeks of public humiliation and social media mockery. Everyone exactly why he's the heart and soul of this offense. He didn't just catch passes routinely. He dominated his side of the field with the physical and mental intensity of someone categorically refusing to accept mediocrity or failure. Every route was run with surgical precision. Every block was executed with controlled violence. Every catch was secure with iron hands. McLaurin showed leadership going beyond statistics, the kind of leadership inspiring young players to elevate their level. The defense, which has been the season's only consistent bright spot while the offense struggled, proved again it can physically compete against any offensive unit in the league. They limited the Broncos to difficult conversions. They forced punts at critical moments. They made necessary tackles to keep the game close. They showed defensive talent is there. It just needs offensive consistency to win games. Quinn spoke after the game in his press conference with genuine emotion about loving the battle, about the honor of being in wars like that, where two teams pound each other mercilessly for 60 regulation minutes and additional overtime, where every play matters, where every decision has consequences. He hates the final outcome with every fiber of his being, but loves the fight, the competition, the intensity. And that warrior mentality is exactly what this team needs permanently engraved in its organizational identity. Because here's the uncomfortable truth nobody in the media wants to publicly admit. This season is completely lost in playoff and championship aspiration terms. There's no realistic scenario where the Commanders qualify for the postseason. But it's not lost in long-term organizational culture-building terms. The young players fighting in these meaningless December games are learning invaluable lessons no practice training can teach. They're learning not to quit when everyone, including media and much of the fan base, expects you to. They're learning maximum effort matters even when the final outcome doesn't change your record. They're learning character is revealed in adversity, not easy victory. Quinn specifically mentioned in the locker room, he clearly sees where the team can technically and strategically improve. There's plenty of room to grow in execution, discipline, and consistency. But the fundamental foundation is there. The right mentality is there. The refusal to accept defeat as inevitable destiny is there. And that's exactly what separates teams that explosively bounce back from horrible seasons, like the Bengals after their 4-12 year, from teams rotting in perpetual mediocrity for entire decades. The next 5 remaining games on the schedule won't magically change this year's record or erase painful losses, but they're absolutely going to define what kind of team the Commanders are in 2026 when expectations return. They're going to show if young players like McGee, Burks, and the rookies have the internal character necessary to be eventual champions. They're going to reveal if this fighting culture Quinn is building is real and sustainable, or just empty motivational words? Quinn is right in his assessment. They lost the Denver game on the final scoreboard, but they found something infinitely more valuable for the future. They found their lost identity. They found their collective pride. They found the unbreakable will to fight even when the entire world has stopped watching and analysts have moved to other teams. And that, in long-term analysis, is worth more than any individual December victory. 3 intertwined stories, one team in deep rebuilding. The Commanders are going through their season's darkest moment, but the seeds of the future are being meticulously planted right now. Aiyuk could be the transformational offensive piece, changing the entire attack ecosystem. Quinn is making impossible philosophical decisions that will define his legacy as head coach. And the locker room just discovered it still has soul, pride, and will to fight. The next months are going to be absolutely wild. Impact trades, critical roster decisions, division games with pride and respect on the line. And we're going to be here reporting every move, every leaked rumor, every news bomb before anyone in traditional media. If you want to be the first to know the latest news firsthand before anyone, subscribe right now and turn on notifications. Don't miss absolutely anything coming in this crucial offseason.